All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3. Today's a new day for me, so I have to kind of reorient myself. Also, this will be a slightly quicker one. I'm going to have a couple episodes today, but I have a meeting in like 45 minutes. So we'll try to get through a couple things that we kind of left hanging yesterday and see where that gets us. All right. So basically where we left off, well, the only thing I did do one little thing while we were gone. I just added this to the README, just in the spirit of documentation. I think the only thing I'll do in between episodes is some documentation. So I'll eventually go through and add some comments to the script. So as people check it out, they're not total nonsense if you come to them straight. But yeah, let's see. Let's go to the code. Where we left off was we ended up generating, we ended up joining actually all the people, all the basically data sets we had. We had the page views for each person. We had the list of all people deaths with some of their meta information, as you can see here. Their description, the dates, all that stuff. And then we joined that with the page views each day, and then also with the total page views for Wikipedia, so we could get it as a percentage. So that's basically where we left off. And I did notice at the end, there's a couple issues. This was a big one. May 9th is not a person. I checked. And so basically some of these dates obviously got through in our initial scraping. So we'll have to go back and tweak that. Otherwise, I think the data actually looks pretty good. So in GitHub, I opened up a couple issues. One I mentioned very briefly yesterday using async await. I think I'll probably just redo the code to incorporate that because it's a concept that's still fairly new for me and I want to try to adopt it into my process. And then this is what I just mentioned. There's some years and dates and stuff in that initial CSV. So that's where we're going to start. So let's open up the code. And let's see, we're looking for our... We already have the Your Pages downloaded. We don't, so we'll maybe have to do this again when we want to update because there'll be new people obviously in 2018. But for now, we're going to rerun it on July 1st. But for now, we're good. And then get people page views. We're good there. Get wiki page views. Parse your pages. This is the one we're looking for. Okay. So I guess in order to root out this problem, let's first find again at the first scenario where one of those dates came through. And I think I said it was May 9th. There you go. So let's pull up the 2015 Wikipedia page. And let's find May 9th deaths. Okay. That looks pretty normal to me. So let's actually just go and run the thing again and maybe do some console logging to see where that might have been an issue. So I'm going to go in here and let's see. Let's only look at the first one. So we'll just look at 2015. And then in here, extract people. Let's go ahead and just look at May. So that would be 405. All right. And then let's not save anything out. Just log out the result so then we can just double check that that's what's going on. npm run parse your pages. Okay, so those look fine. Let's go up to where May 9th would be. There we go. So clearly thanks May 9th date, and we've got some Summer 2015 song. So yeah, this was all messed up. This is the person. So it basically messed up on this one. So maybe let's not log that out anymore, and let's log out the actual parse li, which is where we get all the information from. So let's see, maybe it's having a problem with the tags. Let's go ahead and let's just log out, assuming it's the person. Let's log out num8 tags, and then we'll also log out just the full text so we know what's what. Let's start there. All right, so if I remember correctly, 3 meant it was an inline one, 2 meant it was a drop-down one, basically. Aha, there's our problem. So it's detecting 4 links. 1, 2. Oh, okay. So this is not something we accounted for. There could be a link within the description. And so that was stupid because, again, with this magic number thing. So so let's see. Instead of 3, but I guess that means it's possible for that to be in there. So I don't even know. Let's start with this. I think we're gonna have a problem because if there's one of these, if there's an inline link in one of these, that means this one's gonna see 3, which means the name index will be off. So we actually might have to do a double check here, but we'll start just with changing this from 3 to maybe is greater than 2. And I think we use that here as well. And let's not log that out. Let's now log the result out. All right. Everything still looks fine. May 9th. Okay, and that won't work. Now we've got Keenan, Everin, and everything looks good. I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to run into other problems when we have like this one, June 25th. This one is not an inline one, but there are 3 links because of this thing. So let's go jump to June. Say June 25th. So which one I think is there going to be a problem on? Nurses. And I am completely right. That is all messed up. Okay. So the quantity of links is not going to be the only thing we check for, unfortunately. So in this case, let's see, let's inspect that one. So we've got 1, 2, 3 links. However, it doesn't have a date. So it's actually, if we look at our code, I'm saying the index should be the 1 spot for the name. But in this case, that would be this kind of descriptor link, and we actually want it to be the 0 spot. So we need to find just 1 second. Oh, Caitlin's going to join us. Okay. So we basically can do a few things. We want it to be this first one, but this thing is telling us that it shouldn't be. So let's see. What's another way we can check if it's in line? We could check to see if the title contains a month and a number. That would be legit, because if it does, then we don't. Well, basically, if it does, we want to use the 1 spot, otherwise the 0 spot. Hey, Caitlin.
Hi, I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Let me bring you up to speed. I decided to look into why we are getting some dates as names, which basically means we had some data errors.
Gotcha.
And I've discovered that there are situations. So I'll show you the May 9th one. Oh, I don't want to click on that. When I was doing it based on the number of A tags, and if it had 3, I assumed that meant it was an inline date.
Yeah.
This one has 3. Or sorry, this one has 4. Because it has a link, because he's the president of Turkey.
Gotcha.
So I changed it to be greater than 2, so it's more flexible. However, that has its own problems, because if we look at June 25th, this one has 3, but it doesn't have an inline date, so it's messing up on this one now. So
Gotcha.
That's where I'm at, trying to debug this. And basically, the current plan is to use some other way of determining if we should grab the first thing for their name, or the second, or the 0th index, or the first index, rather than just purely the number of tags, because that is not reliable. So my current theory is to grab the first tag and then check to see if it literally has one of our months in the title.
That's what I was going to say.
That only won't work when someone is named after a month, which is possible, because June and May and April are all names. So we could also check if it has a number as well. I'm pretty sure we'll be in pretty good shape. I don't think there's anyone named June 25th. So I think that's my current plan.
And that'll cover anomalies if maybe in 2016 or 2017, 2018, I haven't seen the data obviously, but if there's anything messed up in those too, in terms of the layout.
Yes, in theory, that should
in theory.
So yeah, all right. So let's see.
Awesome recap.
I knew you'd appreciate it. So let's see. Num ADEX. I don't even know if we need this anymore. Let's just go ahead and start deleting things, because that's obviously the best way to do stuff. So let's grab the first tag. So I think let's bring up our Cheerio documentation. And the dot first looks like the first element of a Cheerio object. That sounds good. I'll just comment all this out for now. But I will delete it. I don't like leaving commented code in when it's not being used anymore. That's why you have GitHub and revisions. And anyways, also, do you know if Slack is working yet? Because I know Slack's been down for a while.
No, I was so annoyed this morning. I thought it was my internet connection, and then I asked Ilya. It's just down.
It's down. Yeah, I've got the status page, actually.
I have it up, and it's just constantly it can't connect.
Yep, still down. Okay. Work gets done, though. That's the good thing about having Slack down.
That's true. That's true.
All right. So a dot first, and let's grab the title attribute. So we'll call this. what, I might turn this into a, no, I would usually turn like all these little things into their own function so that it's not like this one giant function, which it's kind of turning into. But for now, I'm not going to. So we'll just call this first text. And for now, let's just log it out to, again, make sure we're doing things. And I think I'll need name and link somewhere because I referenced them. So I'll just leave those for now. I'll leave all this actually, just so it doesn't break. And we won't log that out. We're just gonna log out first text. By the way, I'm running this just on June, so we don't have to see like a million things while we're testing. Cool. I think that's exactly what we expected. Sometimes they're a name, sometimes they're a date. That seems about right. So let's see. Now we just need to basically check, is this a date or not? So let's create a little function for that. And actually that should be the function. Function is date. We'll pick a string. And actually, yeah, that's fine. Is, no, we don't want to name it the same thing. Call it check date. Is date equals check date, check for date. And pass it first text. There's no point in keeping that as a variable. But there is, because that will end up being the name in some cases. Okay, so let's split that into two pieces. So const split equals string not split. Split it around the space, right? Because it's a date and the month. First, there's gonna be two checks. So first, const month is month. Split of 0 months dot includes split of 0. So you can do an includes on an array. So it'll loop through, and if it finds that text in here, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. We can then do is date, and we can simply, I think we just go with is nan. So we'll pass in split of 1. So this is not a number. So we want the opposite of that to be if it's a date. So if it is a date, it means it is month is true and is date is true. And so we'll return a true or false value if it's a date or not, in theory. So now let's go ahead and log out. It's text and is date. False, false, true, 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 false, true, true, false, true. It looks like this works. Yep. Would you agree? You silently agreed.
I silently agreed. I figured you can read my lips at this point because I always forget to take myself off mute.
Okay. Also, for anyone that's curious, I have a second monitor. That's how I can see things that y'all can't. All right. So this is good. That's way more, or it seems like it's way better than the num tags thing. So now name is going to be simply, actually, let's store this first selector. Const first a equals a. All right, so now we don't care about that. We do care about that. So name is going to be, if is date, we then do need to grab a .eq of 1 attribute title. Otherwise, it is first. Actually, text is not the right word. Title. And same goes for link. Is date a .eq1 attribute href. Otherwise, first a attribute href. Save that, nice and formatted. Let's go ahead and delete all this stuff. And then let's death, date of death. Oh, yeah, same thing here. So instead of doing the number check, if it is date, that means it's the first one. Otherwise, you do the whole parent craziness. It's really ugly, but okay. All right, I think we're rolling. So let's see if that works just on the current month. Totally doesn't, because num a tags is still in here somewhere. What is this? Oh, the description. Oh, same thing. Is date. Hey, and it makes it into a one-liner. All right, let's see how we did here. We might have to scan through all of them since we changed a bunch. Charles Kennedy. So far, so good. Let's jump down to the one that we know is bad, June 25th. Where am I? Oh yeah, that guy. Nurses. Awesome. I think this worked. Let's go ahead and run this on all of our data again and write it out. So we have to get rid of the slicing and this slicing. Let's do it. Okay. Let's check our all death. And this is where we should hopefully not see anything out of the ordinary. I'm like kind of optimistic.
I am too.
Also, I realized there's another thing we could do though. So like, right, they've got kind of the occupation sometimes, but that's obviously because this is a common name and he's not the only Eric Thompson in Wiki. So we might end up cutting that, but we can definitely just leave it for now. And I probably would actually just end up doing that client side because it's technically correct in the data.
I love that CSV extension that colors it.
It was life-changing when I found it.
It was. I found it a few months ago.
China. Yeah, I remember that.
I feel like this was a wonderful exercise. And when you think in API's data, oh, it'll be so easy.
Right. Yeah. And this is like actually pretty good as far as things go. And there's still some issues. And actually, I just saw someone the other day tweet about how scraping Wikipedia is a really good exercise for interviewing candidates because you have to kind of think through the thought process because it never goes smoothly, apparently, which I wish I read earlier.
I had to do a homework in my natural language processing class last semester where we like scraped they're like the relation boxes and stuff like that. Yeah. Got like everyone's spouse. And I think I created a Jeopardy game. So you could like put in a name and then get someone's spouse or like, but you'd have to be like, who is blah, blah, blah. But anyways, it is, I agree. I think it's a good exercise.
All right. I'm almost through 2018 here. I definitely didn't have to do this, but I don't want to have to like come back to this again. So, and I definitely haven't seen any dates as far as I can tell. And it looks like we're I did not think this was going to be a problem we have to solve for. Coco the gorilla is in here. Uh, we'll see. I'm going to leave that for now. I didn't think that maybe when we, maybe there'll be some way to tell if it's a human or not a human in Wikipedia. I don't know if they have it that specifically tagged.
But this could be like a narrative point. Would we want?
Possibly. That's a great point. So we're definitely leaving it for now. Okay. That looks great. So now we'll actually be able to rerun all the stuff that we ran yesterday in terms of the page views with better data. Check this in, GAC, fix. I also have another plugin if we're doing called GHI, which is a way to look at issues in your terminal. So we want to close that first one now. So we can just say GAC fix number 1. Check for it's in name. I guess that's what it did. I'm really bad at GitHub commits, so apologies. And if we go to GitHub, we should see that that's closed now. We're good. Very cool. So I guess the next thing I'll do, I only have like 20 minutes or so for a meeting. How's Slack doing? Okay.
Nope, I've actually stuck on our chat. So it just says Russell. And that's it.
So you can reflect on those deep thoughts we're sending back and forth.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, I guess let's do this issue because this is something that was just kind of nagging at me. So async await, I'm not gonna try to totally explain it. Basically, I'd say start by looking at promises if that's something that you're not totally familiar with. My favorite article is Ponyfoo, ES6 promises in depth. But promises are basically a way to avoid that callback hell, and it makes the code look a little more synchronous. Async await builds on top of that. So let's see, I did look at for in async await. I looked at a blog post yesterday or something. Yeah, this was it. How to use async await to synchronously loop through something. So let me go to the offending code. Let's see, it is the get. No, there's no loop here. It was in get the people page views. So the thing that we're about to run again. Offending code was this, which is not that offensive, but basically what's happening here is every time we're running a bunch of queries and we don't want to run them all at once because that would be 1,400 queries simultaneously. We want to kind of do them sequentially. So basically I just created a function and we step through that function and then it has a callback when it's done. And then it increments the index and then it calls it again until we've hit the end of the thing. This works totally fine. This is also a perfect way to use async await. So I think let's try to modify this code to use async await because that's what I want to do. So async to use. So also a lot of these things I'm using, like a lot of these ES6 features, they're baked into Node itself, but if you want to use them in the browser, you usually have to use Babel or something to transpile ES6 to ES5. So like that includes function that we just used that isn't native to all the browsers yet. So just something to keep an eye on. Okay, so as far as I understand, async function. So basically there's two things. You tell a thing to await, but that has to happen inside an async function. So that means a init has to be defined as an async function. And let's kind of rewrite this whole thing here. So basically, we want to loop through data. And as you can see, this blog, you can check out this blog post. Maybe we'll link to it. But the way you do that is actually using the new, this is the money stuff right here. It's the for of iterator, which is also, it's similar to for in, but there's some distinct differences. So anyways, it's a new way to loop through objects. So we'll say for const d in data. And what do we want to do? We just simply want to query and pass it d. And before we had d as a callback, but now we actually want it to be asynchronous. So we actually want to say await query. And if we wanted to do stuff with the response, it returns a promise. So we could actually say like then and dot catch. We're not planning on doing anything. So I'll not put those in for now. Actually, I might actually just write a little test script here first, just to make sure that the async thing is doing what I think it's doing. So let's see. Let's just kind of simulate this. What would we have our thing called? Query, which will expect an item. Let's call it item. That's better than D. And it will return a new promise. So again, if you're not familiar with promises, you can resolve and reject the promise. It means you can do something. So in our case, we're going to be hitting the API and waiting for a response. We can simulate that by just saying like set timeout. And after a certain period of time, resolve it. So we can just say like 2000. And that's it. And then let's create our async function init, calling it, and let's make some data. Okay. And again, for const in data, or const item in data. Just log out the item so we can see that it's updating. Then we'll say await query item. And so basically we should see this log out, but rather than pretty much instantly, which is how a for loop normally would work, it should be about 2 seconds in between each time. So let's run node scripts /test. Boom, magical. So that worked. So just to illustrate the catching. So if we, let's see, item 1, 2, 3, let's pretend item, if item is equal to 2, let's actually reject it, else resolve it. So I'm assuming we're going to get an error here because we're not catching the, oh, we didn't get the error. Weird. If item equals 2, reject. Huh. Thought that would have thrown an error. He did, and maybe it's just swallowing it. Then, so of else reject. If this is actually doing what I think it's doing. Resolve item 2000. So response, actually, so we'll console.log then, and catch console.error. That makes sense. So if it sees 2, it should reject it. If it sees anything else, it should resolve it. Add some other stuff in here. Why was it logging out 0? Well, I have a syntax error. Let's start with that. Oh my goodness. Oh, let me get it back. Oh, well, that's weird. Why is it const? Oh, I'm an idiot. So I'm using the in, and I actually meant to be using of, which is why it's, so item is actually, so for doing const item in, that's actually the index. And we actually want the actual item. So that's one of the differences right there. Anyways, let's keep going. Oh, there we go. So it rejected 2 that time. And also, let's bump that up so it's like 3,000. And you'll see that it instantly rejected 2 because we didn't have any timeout on it. All right. Great. This is working how I thought it was going to. So that's good. So now let's apply that in the last couple minutes here. So const, I did it again. It's actually of item. So await query item. And so now the only thing we have to change to query is instead of a callback, it's going to return a promise. New promise. So all the asynchronous code you want to happen inside of the promise. So basically, and you can see that this library is actually also using promises, right? We have a then and a catch. So basically inside of here, we want to resolve it. And inside of here, we can actually just reject, and we can handle all the error messaging down in our query. So let's say catch, reject, resolve, and it's going to do nothing here. Maybe we can actually just do our ticking right here. And I'm not actually going to have a number anymore, but we'll just log item. I don't know, dot, what are the things? We'll just log item.name. And actually year, let's log all the stuff, item dot. 2013. Date of death, let's log that out so then we can get a sense of how far we're progressing. Date of death. And as an error, console.error that. It should just keep going. And I think that's all there is to it. So we could have actually, so our code could have just looked like this, and it could have been 3 lines rather than this whole deal right here. So that's basically what we did. But let's again go ahead and let's run this. Be excited when we see errors. So npm run shoot. Excuse me. Run at people pages. Dope. So this is going to take a while. So let's see, while that's running, remove that testing. And let's just also commit this SCAC. Fix number 2, use async await. Push that script up. I think that's good for now. Let's kind of check in where we're at. So we've resolved our issues. This is not done, I don't think. I think the join people still joins everybody. It joins, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it just did this thing where it joined all the data. Let's make this even bigger. So like I said, it adds like the year of birth to the page views and the percent traffic. So the next thing we want is to just work with a single CSV. That might be intense actually. So I don't even know if that's the next step because, right, each person is going to have a lot of years. Or sorry, a lot of days. Everyone's going to have exactly 1092 or up to that, I guess.
Multiplied by how many?
So that's going to be about 100, 200,000 rows. So really the next step, if we look at our steps, so I don't know if this is actually going to be the next step. I think it's this one, because we can do this on an individual file basis. So basically we can just create a list of the people that we think should make it or not, based on, I think their traffic. I guess the next step is to figure out what that methodology is. But I think it will be looking at the individual files, and then we'll end up with whatever, 100, 200, 500 files, and then we can merge them into a single one. So it'll be more manageable. Merge into a single file. And then we can go ahead and get more meta information for each person if we so want that. So a little more scraping, it seems like, is in order. We certainly could go on to starting to do a little more analysis of the data itself. Our next step would be like plotting these people on a line chart to see what these trends do look like. So we'll see how I feel this afternoon, I guess. If we want to just keep doing more scraping to just be completely done with the data and have it nice and buttoned up. So yeah, I guess that's the next decision to make. Let's make sure this is still going. I foolishly didn't write the year, so I don't know which year we're on here. It looks like we're on the 2nd year. I think. I don't know. That was stupid. That's not very useful. But this will keep running. It hasn't thrown an error yet, which is good. And yeah, I think that's it for this episode. See you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.